What up, YouTube? I hope everybody's doing well. I hope everybody was able to enjoy their holidays, and I hope that everybody is looking forward to the new year. I know I sure am. I'm going to keep this intro short and sweet so we can get to the real content of this video here. But the other day, live on stream, I did a couple of Marvel MCU tier lists. And I'll be releasing 3 videos, one for each of those. I had a lot of fun. Some people popped in chat, and we had some conversations about the choices that we were making. As for this video, it's going to be me ranking my top Spider-Man movies on tier lists. The next video will be me ranking the Marvel MCU characters based on power showcased in the movies. And then the final tier list that I upload will be my updated MCU release tier list. Now, as I said, I did do these on stream, so if you guys ever have any interest in watching content like this, the link to that will be at the top of the description. If you could follow that channel, that'd be greatly appreciated. There is a reason that I decided to do all of these now. The first reason being that obviously No Way Home has recently come out, and it is still very much relevant. However, the other reason is that today I'm actually starting a playthrough of the Marvel's Avengers game that came out a while ago on that streaming channel that I had mentioned. So if you have any interest in tuning in for any of that, be sure to stop by and say hello. I'm very excited to play through that game. And I'll be making a lot more content like this on stream in the future. I don't know if it's necessarily going to be tier lists, because I think tier lists can be a bit bland. However, I had a lot of fun making these 3 that I'll be uploading throughout the week. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy watching. Let me know if you agree with my decisions, if you disagree with any decisions, and where you would put all the movies. And yeah, I hope you guys continue to have a great year. Be sure to leave a like on the video if you liked it, and enjoy the video. Thank you. All right, so it says rank your most favorite Spider-Man and Venom movies of all time. This is a tier list of all these Spider-Verse movies. So I think we're good to get started. I've put zero thought into any of these lists that I'm doing until right now. So this is just gonna be me deciding on everything on the fly. Okay, just a warning here before we get going. I am going to be saying some No Way Home spoilers. So I don't know why you'd be watching a Spider-Man tier list right now if you haven't seen No Way Home yet. But maybe you want to steer clear of this one until you see that movie if you care for spoilers of that. So with that being said, I think everybody can agree that No Way Home goes... I don't know what this poster they used for it. That is not official in the slightest. But I think we can all agree that No Way Home goes straight into S. And yeah, it's going to be the only one that I have an S by the end of this, because it just is. They also have 2 No Way Homes. I don't know what the hell the person that made this did. They have 2 No Way Homes. I'm not going to put them both in S. This one will just stay down here. So yeah, No Way Home goes into S. I'll get into more of it later. But just straight away, you have to throw No Way Home in S. And then I'll start going in order of release here. So I think this is it? I don't know which is Spider-Man 1 and which is Spider-Man 2 here. I'm going to be honest with you. We're going to say that this one here with Mary Jane is Spider-Man 1, the first Tobey Spider-Man movie. So I've rewatched all of the Spider-Man movies recently, like very recently, in the months leading up to No Way Home with family. So all of these are pretty fresh in my mind, thankfully. Spider-Man 1 with Tobey Maguire. Where does that go? I'm gonna have some unpopular opinions with these tier lists, but I think that makes them more interesting than just agreeing with what everybody else says. I think I'd put Spider-Man 1 with Tobey into B. I don't know if people would agree with that, but it is of the first movies in a trilogy, or I guess Andrew didn't get a trilogy of the first movies that go into a series. It is actually not my favorite of the 3 of Homecoming, Amazing Spider-Man, and Spider-Man. It is not my favorite of the 3, but I do think it's really good. I do. It's a solid movie. The cage fight scene with Randy Savage is classic.
Hey, Freak Joe, you're going nowhere.
It's also interesting because it's the only one where like he actually kind of becomes a spider physically. Like you see I don't know what the hell they're called. The like needle spider thistle weird things coming out of his fingers, and like he actually shoots the webs from his wrists and stuff. So it's unique in that way. And yeah, I think it's a solid Spider-Man origin movie. I don't think it's amazing though. So next is Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 is really damn good. With Doc Ock. I think he's the best villain of the original trilogy. Fuck, this is hard, bro. Like, I'm just looking at the rest of the movies and seeing where it stacks up against them. But what I do know is that Spider-Man 2 is better than Spider-Man 1, and it's really, really fucking good, and it's an A. Jesus. I think Doc Ock's... I don't know. Green Goblin was really good. Willem Dafoe killed it. But, yeah, I don't know, man. Spider-Man 1 was fucking good. Although the train scene in Spider-Man 2, that's just so good. I think the train scene is one of the best scenes in any of the Spider-Man movies. That shit is phenomenal. Yeah, Spider-Man 2 is A tier, for sure. Then comes Spider-Man 3, where I don't think I hate it as much as other people do, but just in terms of this list, I think it unfortunately has to go into D. Because I don't throw this word around a lot, but that's the scene where he's like walking around the street dancing and shit, and then he does like that dance in front of Mary Jane with Gwen and stuff like that. Like, that shit's cringe. Like, I was watching that with my family and I was like, oh, this is really bad. However, I am a sucker for Black Suit Spider-Man, so I like that part of it a lot. And I think it was interesting what they did with Symbiote, but yeah. Overall, I mean, there was so many different like storylines going on in that movie too, with Sandman, with Eddie Brock, with Harry. Spider-Man 3 goes into D. I'm sorry. Then came Amazing Spider-Man, the Andrew Garfield series, where they didn't make it to 3. So earlier I had said that Tobey's Spider-Man 1 wasn't my favorite of the first movies in the series. And this is probably controversial, but rewatching these recently, I'm an Andrew Garfield fanboy. I'll admit it right now. And I definitely do not hate the Amazing Spider-Mans nearly as much as most of the internet seems to. And I think that Amazing Spider-Man 1 is the best of the first movies, and I'm putting it an A. Would I put it before Spider-Man 2? Oof. Would I? I don't know. I'll have to sit on this one. I'll rearrange them later after they're all in here. But yeah, I really like Amazing Spider-Man 1. I think it's really fucking good. I love that. I like that they included, like, I think a lot of people hated it, but I like the inclusion of his parents and adding that little story in there. Yeah, I don't know. I do wish we got a third movie in that series to see if that went anywhere else. I don't know, man. Amazing Spider-Man is just dope. And it was cool seeing Spider-Man be like, not just some dumb nerd. Like the scene where Flash is bullying the kid at the beginning and Peter's telling him to just like put him down, Flash, and stuff.
Come on.
Gordon, don't eat it. Take the picture, Parker. Put him down, Flash.
Like he exudes cool, which was really interesting to see with a Spider-Man, because Tobey was like the ultimate nerd. I do think that Kurt Connors, the Lizard, was a bit of a weak villain, and I don't love how they made him look either. Like, I don't love how the CGI made the Lizard look. I think the story with him was good. You know, obviously they just pulled that from the comics, but... And, like, intertwining Gwen, Peter, and Kurt Connors was good. I think that the humor in Amazing Spider-Man was really good. And it was cool to see, because there's not, like, a whole lot of humor in the original trilogy. And I actually really, really loved the suit in Amazing Spider-Man. I know when Amazing Spider-Man 2 came out, I'm pretty sure everybody was like, oh, fuck yeah, they changed the suit or whatever. But I actually really liked the suit in Amazing Spider-Man 1. And the scene towards the end, when he's like all fucked up, I believe he got shot in the leg or something. He got shot in the leg, and then it's a callback to earlier in the movie when he saved the guy's kid from that car, and then the guy is like the crane operator or whatever, and they all put the cranes in toward the street so he can swing on them to make it to the Oscorp. It is so good. You see him like web up the fucking wound and then just start running with a limp, and he fucking... That's one of the... I think that might be my... Well, no. No Way Home has my favorite, but that's one of my top 3 scenes in the Spider-Man movies for sure. Plus, I just really like watching the dynamic between Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield, to be honest. Anyways, that's it for Amazing Spider-Man. Amazing Spider-Man 2. So, when these movies came out, I thought that Amazing Spider-Man was pretty weak, and I really liked Amazing Spider-Man 2. But after rewatching them recently, I realized I was cracked out of my mind. And Amazing Spider-Man is definitely better than Amazing Spider-Man 2. There's not a lot of Spider-Man in Amazing Spider-Man 2. There's a lot of Peter. The thing with Amazing Spider-Man 2 is I think that the ending, like 30 minutes, is really, really strong. You know, with the Gwen dying. Just fucking heartbreaking. And then the actual end of that movie, where it's like all the news reports asking where's Spider-Man and stuff after he's been gone for a while. And then it's like the kid stepping up to Rhino. And then you know, he comes in. I think the ending's really strong. But I do think the rest of the movie is a bit slower and not super fantastic. And again, I don't really love what they made Electro look like with the CGI stuff. The Harry stuff was also not super great. So I'm going to keep it above Spider-Man 3, and I'm going to put Amazing Spider-Man 2 into C tier. Yeah, I think that's fair. Okay, and that brings us to... Fuck. I don't know the order of release for these. I think it's Homecoming... And then either Venom, Spider-Verse, Far From Home, or... I don't know. It doesn't really matter if I get that exactly. But anyways, I know that next is Homecoming. I'm going to be honest, I'm not a fan of Homecoming. I don't know what it is, but I don't super love Homecoming. It's my least favorite of the 3 first movies. I don't know if I'd put it into C. I don't know if I would put it into... Actually, yeah, I would. I'd put it into C. Above Amazing Spider-Man 2 for sure, but I'd put it into C. Because I don't think it's as good on par with Spider-Man 1. What do I not like about Homecoming? I don't know what it is that I don't even like about Homecoming. Like, it's a decent movie. I don't know. I don't think there's anything great about it. The scene where he pulls up to his homecoming date's house and you find out that it's Hawkeye and stuff, and then that car ride... And I feel like this is saying a lot. That car ride is my favorite scene in the movie. It's just so tense. But I don't think any of the action with Spider-Man is particularly great. Yeah. I didn't think the setting of them going to Washington was too interesting. I didn't think Hawkeye as a villain... Or not Hawkeye. Jesus Christ. Did I say Hawkeye last time too? Vulture. I didn't think Vulture as a villain was particularly interesting either. He was just basically like trying to get rich off of alien parts. And yeah, I don't know. Homecoming just isn't, in my opinion, it isn't super good, which I think is a pretty controversial take. But anyways, moving on. Venom. Venom. I thought Venom was a fun movie. The first Venom. I'm not about to do some dumb shit like put Venom ahead of Homecoming or anything. But I actually didn't mind the first Venom too much. I think I'd put it in C. I don't have a whole lot to say about it. But I think I'd put it in C, right behind Amazing Spider-Man 2. I think Venom was fine. It was fun. It wasn't great, but it was an enjoyable movie. And yeah, that's all I have to say about Venom, really. Into the Spider-Verse. Okay, I think Into the Spider-Verse is definitely overrated. I don't think it's bad. I just think it's overrated. Because, like, the whole internet, when Into the Spider-Verse came out, was saying that Into the Spider-Verse was the best Spider-Man movie that was ever made, and I just did not agree with that at all. It was cool. The art style in it was really fucking cool. I like the art style a lot. But I don't think it was as good as people made it out to be. And I'm going to throw it into B, behind Spider-Man 1. I think that's a good spot for it. If I see people still saying Into the Spider-Verse is the best Spider-Man movie after we got No Way Home, I'm gonna be mind blown, because that shit don't make no sense to me. It was fun. It's a cool movie, and it's nice seeing Miles, you know, finally appear in some movies and stuff. But I don't think it was necessarily phenomenal or anything. I just think it was cool. It had a really good soundtrack. Again, the art style was fantastic. Characters were funny. It was a good ass movie, but like, I don't think it's as good as these other Spider-Man movies. Okay, Far From Home. I fucking love Far From Home. At the time, fuck. Far From Home is really good. Seeing Mysterio as a villain and seeing him be just like a regular ass dude, you know, that's utilizing tech was interesting. Because it wasn't like a big bad for Spider-Man to have to fight. It was more like a mental thing, which was really interesting to see. So I think Mysterio was a great villain. The twist was really fun because like the build up to the movie releasing, they made it seem like Mysterio was a good guy the whole time. Although obviously people had their doubts because Mysterio is like one of Spider-Man's biggest villains in the comics. I think that the settings were really fun in Europe as opposed to Washington with Homecoming. I think that they were cool to see Spider-Man in those environments. I think that Far From Home was funnier than Homecoming. I forget what happened. Fuck, how do I forget this? I forget what happens leading up to Spider-Man like becoming lost and Happy having to come pick him up. Is it just he goes to like Nick Fury's office thing to tell him, and then it's like all the illusion, and then after that, that's where it is? I don't know. I don't remember exactly what it is, but the scene in the jet with Happy where they like talk about Tony and stuff is emotional as fuck. I love that whole sequence. And then when he like constructs the new suit and stuff, I love all of that. I love the ending of the movie with like Happy, MJ, Ned all going into the like museum thing, into the safe and all that shit together. There's some funny moments there with Flash and everything. And then the final scene, obviously, when his identity is revealed, is just an insane way to end that movie. The illusions are really fucking cool. The CGI in that movie is sick as hell. Yeah, Spider-Man No Way or Far From Home goes top of A for me. I loved Far From Home. Anyways, moving on. Venom Let There Be Carnage D. Bottom, literally worse than Spider-Man 3. Trash garbage. Carnage was so fucking disappointing. And I hated that movie. I hated what they did to Carnage. I just didn't enjoy it in the slightest. The end was cool. The after credits scene, I believe, where it kind of reveals Venom being in Spider-Man's universe. However, in No Way Home, in that after credits scene, Venom's kind of pulled away anyways. So I don't know what the hell they're going to be doing with that. But yeah, Venom Let There Be Carnage is trash garbage. Dumpster juice. I hated it. I thought that movie was dumb as hell. Anyways, I don't even want to talk about the movie. It upsets me. It upsets me too because it's like, now that Carnage is gone, Carnage has always been my favorite villain. And Spider-Man didn't even get to interact with him. And the fact that Carnage was already just in a movie means that he probably will not be in another movie for a long, long time. And they did Carnage dirty. Is what really upsets me about the movie. Is that it wasted Carnage. And now we won't see him for a while. Anyways. And just to be clear, I liked Woody Harrelson as Cletus. I think Woody Harrelson could have actually done a really good job as Carnage. I just hate how they wrote it. And I hate that it wasn't rated R. I don't know how you have a movie with Carnage and you don't make it rated R. It makes no fucking sense. Like, he's literally a serial killer gone batshit. Forget about it. Anyways, moving back on. Coming around to No Way Home. And alone up there in S, as it deserves to be. No Way Home is just a Spider-Man fan's wet dream. Genuinely. Warning. Spoilers for No Way Home. So, if you've made it this far somehow and you still haven't seen No Way Home, please click off. Unless you don't give a fuck about spoilers. That's kind of odd, but alright, you do you. So, No Way Home, obviously there were so many rumors going up, or leading up to it. people were really excited for seeing it, and it has, because of those rumors and because of the reception in the movie, it has absolutely smashed sales, even amidst this Omicron COVID breakout shit, which is kind of unbelievable to see. But I'm very, very glad, because it is a movie that I genuinely think deserves all of the success it's seeing. I don't know how they lived up to the expectations and the hype of that movie, but they did, and they even went above expectations for me. And I still don't know how the fuck they managed to do it. So along with the hype of the end of Far From Home, where they had his identity revealed and all the excitement going to the movie with that, they also had all of that external pressure, and again somehow delivered. This is my first time really talking about No Way Home, because I haven't wanted to spoil anything for anybody. So let's just start from the rip. I love that it starts immediately right where Far From Home left off. That's cool as hell to me. I love when movies do that. And then it's just chaos for like the first 20 minutes of him, you know, taking MJ back to their house, and then all the situation with Aunt May and Happy and everything. Like, it is chaos. And then them going to like lawyers and shit. It's chaotic or not lawyers, to like the police station and stuff. It's chaotic as hell. And then you get, obviously, the reveal of, spoiler alert again, the reveal of Matt Murdock and Daredevil finally being in the MCU, which I'm so fucking excited for. And I pray they don't ruin Daredevil and try to make him like PG or something, and they keep that grit that was there in the Netflix series. I hope. But regardless, I'm excited as hell to have Daredevil in Marvel. And I saw this movie on opening night, and it was so people hate when people cheer at movies. Like, some people find it cringy and shit, but I love it. I think it's fun as hell. It's like such a unique experience. I think it pretty much only happens with like Marvel movies, that from what I've experienced. But I think it's really fun. So you have the reveal of Matt Murdock being in it. You have that dope fucking scene where someone throws a brick in the window and he just reaches out and catches it. And everybody's like, what the hell? And he's like, I'm a really good lawyer. It was a really fucking nice tease. And yeah, I'm just glad that he's finally there. And then you have like they can't get into college. So he tries to give Doctor Strange do the spell, fucks with the spell. And he goes to find the college lady, you know. And then you have the Doc Ock scene, which is dope as fuck. And then you have the Goblin with his grenade. And then they get sucked in, and he's like, oh, you gotta go capture all the villains. And then, you know, the shit that goes down with all the villains, which we kind of already knew about all the villains, because they had revealed that already in trailers and posters and such. And that was all fun. Him like bounty hunting the previous villains from Spider-Man movies. I really love the new look that they ended up giving Electro later in the movie. They ditched the weird blue shit that he had in Amazing Spider-Man 2 and gave him like the classic like star shit over his eyes, the electric star shit. I think the rest of the villains pretty much look similar. They give Goblin, they removed he smashed the mask, and they gave him the cool hood, which was dope. And then you go to the scene, obviously the fight between Doctor Strange and Spider-Man was really fucking fun. Everything with Doctor Strange is always cool and trippy as hell. It kind of reminded me of the Mysterio stuff in a way, but yeah, that fight's cool. And then him solving it with math or whatever, and then he brings the villains into Happy's apartment. And then, you know, he's trying to fix them, obviously, and you have that dope fucking scene where like he's in a room full of villains trying to, like, his spider sense, he's trying to figure out which one is about to do some evil shit. And then you have Willem Dafoe turning back into the Goblin after being good guy for a while. This movie was kind of the opposite of in Far From Home. There was a lot of Peter and not like a ton of Spider-Man. But this movie was the opposite. It was like a ton of Spider-Man, especially after that first bit where he's like in high school and stuff and trying to get into college. I'm pretty sure it's like only Spider-Man from there on out, which is really cool to see. A movie where he's Spider-Man for like 90% of the movie, because usually they have like a decent amount of Peter in these. But yeah, then, you know, you have the scene with Aunt May, and that's all sad. That's really sad. Tom Holland's a really fucking good actor. The scene with Happy, where they like make eye contact for a second, Happy knows what happened, and he yells at him to run. That whole bit's really good, and you know, obviously the Goblin killing Aunt May, which leads later to the crazy fight, and then of course you have the reveal of the Spider-Mans, which my theater went crazy apeshit in. It was, I don't know. Obviously, leading up to it, everybody suspected that they might be in the movie, but just seeing it be real was fucking wild. Like, seeing him jump through that, Andrew Garfield jump through that portal was fucking crazy. And yeah, I don't know. And then they had some humor in there with like MJ trying to tell him to prove he's Spider-Man and stuff. And then you had Tobey's reveal, which was fun. Yeah, I just think No Way Home was genuinely a perfect movie. And I think it's something that we'll never experience again. Because I just don't know how they could ever make that happen again. And if it happened again, it wouldn't be as special. Because, you know, the first time's obviously always going to be more special. But No Way Home was perfect. First time I saw it, I didn't like the ending. Where everybody forgets about him. Because I was like, okay, now the first two movies and the entirety of this movie was just a waste of time because nobody even remembers who he is. So what was the point? But then I kind of realized, because I'm programmed to think that Spider-Man gets like 3 movies and then they move on to a new actor and such. So I was kind of in that mindset when I was thinking about it. But then I realized that these, you know, Homecoming, Far From Home, No Way Home are basically just like Tom Holland Spider-Man's origin story. And it wasn't about the other characters remembering him. It was about like Spider-Man himself, because obviously he remembers everything he's been through and it's going to affect him in the future. Yeah. I didn't really like consider the option of him just moving on, you know, and like moving on from MJ and Ned and stuff. But now that I've realized that it's kind of an origin story and there's still a lot more of Tom Holland as Spider-Man, it's made me, you know, appreciate that ending and what's to come for Spider-Man. Him kind of returning to like the classic Spider-Man homemade suit and all. And I'm really excited for it. I think the suit at the very end looked fucking cool as hell. And yeah, I don't know. That earlier when I had mentioned the swinging on the crane scene being the most epic Spider-Man scene, obviously the most epic Spider-Man scene is the scene with all 3 of them after they establish the Peter 1, Peter 2, and Peter 3 thing. That's just dope as fuck. And I can't believe I almost forgot to mention this, but my favorite scene in any of these movies, the one that I actually thought was the most emotional in No Way Home was when Andrew saves MJ at the end. And like he catches her and he's just like, "Are you okay?" And then he just starts fucking crying. Like that shit. That got me. And it was like framed like it was in Amazing Spider-Man 2 as well. Like when MJ's falling, you see her like, yeah, I don't know. It was like the exact same that they replicated, and then that was good as fuck. And obviously also the final fight where like Tom is just beating the fuck out of Goblin. And then Tobey pops in and he's like, just gives him the stare. It's the whole movie. Like I could literally talk about every scene in the whole movie and just gush over it. But the whole movie is just fucking phenomenal. If you haven't seen it, well, you've just had it all spoiled for you, but still fucking see it because it's really, really, really good. And I'm so glad that it's getting all the success that it has. It's still wild to me that it beat Infinity War on like opening weekend box office or whatever the fuck. That's crazy. But yeah, deserved in my opinion. So that is my Spider-Man tier list. You have Dumpster Venom at the bottom, and you've got No Way Home right at the tippity top. Okay, I need to make sure that this is Spider-Man 1 and this is Spider-Man 2 because... okay, yeah, it is. Yeah. Wait, no, that's Spider-Man 2. Fuck! This is the first Spider-Man? Shit! Okay, these switch then. Damn. Bingo bongo. There we go. Now that's the tier list. Spider-Man 2 here, Spider-Man the first one there. There we go. Bang, bang, bing. The only one I'm a little bit iffy on is this. Amazing Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2, but I think this is good. I really like Amazing Spider-Man. I think I would actually put Amazing Spider-Man in front of Spider-Man 2. Yeah, I think I would. That's my tier list. Bang. Bingo bongo.